guys, good morning. Happy Monday. How's everybody doing? Hey, Cement Shoes. Hey, Amelia Sparkles. How's everybody doing this morning? Hopefully good. I hope your weekend was great. I last night I premiered the second episode of the Dahmer Victims series. Hey, Utter, how you doing? Good to see you guys. Anyway, I premiered that last night, and bruh, that took like those videos are hard. Hard like they're a lot of work, but they're also hard because the content, and then you have to you have to when you're checking your work, which even though I checked my work 11 billion times, I still see some timing issues, but I'm not fixing it. I'm done. Like I'll made a mental note of it. Hey, Quirky, and I'll do better next time. Know what I'm saying? But I had to hear it over and over again, and it's just if you haven't seen it, go check it out. But it's interesting hearing him speak and hearing and learning about um the victims and their background, because although I will say, of all the things ever that I've ever watched pertaining to Dahmer, Ryan Murphy, his series talked more about the victims than any other series that I've ever seen. So I thought that was, I thought he did a really well. They did a really good job, but obviously Ryan Murphy gets the credit, but they all did a really good job. Evan Peters is amazing. And just FYI, Melissa Jade thinks that Evan Peters is her boyfriend, husband, whatever, but we all know that's not true, that he belongs to Jen Liu. I've had dibs on him since the first season of American Horror Story. So there's that, MJ. Anyway, so back to the Pike County Massacre trial and everybody's least favorite leather vest wearing unaliver, George Washington Wagner the Fourth. So this is what I think is going to be on the agenda for this week. I believe that they're going to be playing more of the 2018 Intercept recordings, and I have oh, what? Yeah, you did, Cement Shoes, but it's okay. um, it's all right. I mean, I appreciate it anyway. That you were gonna, but then you forgot. Look, man, things happen, life happens, it gets busy, and people forget. I forget stuff all the time. So no worries. Anyway, so I don't know exactly, obviously, what these recordings are or what they contain, but I think this is so cute, Utter. I'm highlighting it even though I know you're sorry. I just think it's adorable that that phone added a shoe at the end of it, and not just any shoe, a high heel, a pump. Ah, anyway, so I have a feeling, though, just by the way that the trial has been progressing, that whatever is in these specific recordings relates to Angela and Jake's testimony. So there's that. That's what I think is going to happen, but I don't know. And I think that this week, I think is sort of I think the state is going to be wrapping up their case in chief. I think. I'm not sure. I mean, because this is day 38 of trial. All right. That's over a month and a week, so that's what, 5 weeks. They said 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks for the trial in total. So I'm thinking that that's what's going to happen, is that the state, I think, is going to be wrapping it up this week. Um what else do I know? Oh, so I am aware of the situation, the accusations, and the charges surrounding one of the members of Adventures with Purpose. And I probably will have a live to discuss it. But obviously, for me, the part that I find interesting is, and that I would like to talk about, is the 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 laws that have changed, and how um, the statute of limitations has changed, which I think is a really good thing, because in situations like that, and I'm just being careful what I say right now because that's not what this live is about, and I will just address it more. We're just chit chatting before the trial starts, but I'll address it more specifically when it's time to do it. But I think it's a really good thing that laws are changing and that statute of limitations are changing, because um, kids, it's difficult for kids to talk about these kind of things, especially when it's in the family, and you know, it takes a while for victims to come out and feel comfortable and be able to do it. And I don't think that when they choose to make an outcry and file charges, I don't think that the timing should ever be held against them. I think I don't think that that is, I don't believe that that should be something that people should use as a measuring stick as to the veracity and the validity of the claims and the charges. So, but I am going to be discussing that because I'm interested in it. Um, I'm going to continue to report on Quentin Simon, because obviously, and we've got some trials coming up. Amelia let me know the last time I was live that Sarah Boone's trial has been pushed back. Bruh. I have a feeling that the reason why, without knowing for certain, obviously, because I'm not, I can't know everything all the time, and I haven't looked it up, to be quite frank. I could know for certain if I'd have looked it up, but I would suspect that it has something to do with that letter I read to you guys about, like, ooh, right after my birthday. Thank you, Amelia. Can't wait. Anyway, I suspect that it has something to do with the fact that that letter I read to you guys, where she says, I haven't been able to talk to my lawyer, yada yada yada. Oh, also, before I forget, okay, so today is November 7th. So next week, the 15th and the 16th, are the victim impact statements from the Brooks trial. Okay. And I'm definitely going to stream those. I think that it's important for their voices to be heard. And I can't think of anybody that I would rather watch and support the victims in standing up for themselves and moving and taking taking another step towards healing than you guys. So that's next week too. Obviously, I will be doing another episode of Dahmer, and this time we're moving forward in the timeline. we're going to be covering the victims that happened at we are going to be covering. Look how I speak. I am going to be discussing and covering the victims at his grandmother's house, their stories, all, but not just the ones that were unalived, the survivor too, because that's important. And so that's, I'm just preparing you if it's, let you know. I'm, I think what I'm going to do now that I understand how much, how long it takes to put the video together, I think like I'm going to stream the trial in the morning, right? And then work on the episode in the afternoon and then recap in the evening. Tonight, the recap I'm going to do obviously is whatever happens this afternoon, right? Today in the trial, but also Sarah, um, Angela Wagner's testified all last week. Okay. So there's that. But I had forgotten that there was a BCI agent who interviewed Angela, and obviously that was played in open court. So I think that we should give that a listen, and that might give us a glimpse into what she likely testified to. Okay. Then there's Anjanette Levy, who has been covering this case since April 16th of 2016. No, April 22nd of 2016. Bless it, Jen. I've had my coffee and my 5 hour, y'all. Um, so she's been covering this case since day one. She knows all the things. She has been in court every day. She's covered. All right. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, I can see my little thing moving. All right, good. Here we go. I don't know why this is muted because it shouldn't be. Hold on. Hold on a second. Hang on, let me see what's going on with live chat over here on Law and Crime and see why there's no sound. Hold on a second. Yeah, it's on Law and Crime side, not. Hold on a second. All right. Let me scroll down. Oops. Come on, Law and Crime. That we finally get audio. Get it together, bruh. Let's go. Looks like I'll have to be entertaining you guys. Now, I'm not exactly sure why they're muted, but this is there was the reason that they didn't have trial on Friday is there's something. Honestly, I came in late to it, so I didn't quite understand what the kerfuffle was about. It's some piece of evidence that the defense takes issue with. So who knows? And now we're really not going to know because hello, Law and Crime isn't doing sound for whatever reason. I don't understand it, but whatever. We'll just be patient. Mainly y'all will have to be patient because clearly I can't. So there we go. So nice today. We're supposed to get this I can't I think it looks like it's a subtropical depression, I think it is. Nicole is the name of it. And bless you, Nestor. And we're supposed to be getting it Thursday, although it looks like it's gonna be like barely a category 1 when it hits the east coast of Florida, but Florida's not all that wide, so it's gonna come straight across and then hit up north. So we'll get all that rain and whatnot from it, which is fine. We need the rain anytime we don't need flooding, but rain is good. I have no idea what's going on. None. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know what they're doing. Here comes the jury. So we should have sound shortly. While I was waiting for the trial to start, I just didn't add it to the stream, so I can see it backstage on StreamYard. And the cameraman was cleaning the lens. Oh, if you haven't done so already, could y'all do me a favor and give me a thumbs up on the stream? I would appreciate it greatly. It helps to keep me in the algorithm and get my video suggested, and I appreciate that if you would help a girl out. All right. Let me go over to Law and Crime right quick and see on my phone what their damage is. I know they have 4 or 5 mods over there, and they all do a great job. Hopefully they'll freaking message Law and Crime. Like, what's going on? Let's see. Huh. Let me see what's going on. Okay. I got it, I think. So this is what's going on. We're going to have to end this stream because let me tell you what's happened so far. Evidently, the defense is going right now, even though the state has not rested, apparently. There are a few witnesses that have a scheduling conflict for the state. I don't understand this at all. And apparently, like I said, the defense is going to put on a couple of witnesses, and they don't want to be played. They don't want to be recorded. Hold on, let's see. I can't. It's so difficult to tell what's. It's hard. It's hard because I want to read the. I mean, I'm reading the chat, right? But you can't always be relying on the chat. So I'm going to wait. Just give it a second because usually. Whoa, the cameraman is. What happened? Got it. That's what I thought. Okay. So, what should we do, you guys? Let me see what other trials are happening right now. While the wind is just being very blustery. We got another one out of the Floridas. Fleeing girlfriend red rum trial, Florida versus Matthew Terry, day 1. The extreme skier on trial, New Mexico versus Dean Cummings, day 5, is going to be live. You guys want to go check out this fleeing girlfriend? I'll just change the title or whatever. And if they're calling, if the defense has a witness on the stand and they're going to be back with the wiretaps, then I'm not going to end this stream. I don't want to waste a notification because that's what will happen. I'll go live tonight and notifications won't go out. The skier isn't going to go on until 11 o'clock my time. So that's 2 hours from now. So if I end this stream and I start another one, right, that's my 2 notifications in 24 hours. You see what I'm saying? So I think it has something to do with where you are in the algorithm, how many, I don't know how YouTube works sometimes. I mean, most of the time, some stuff I do, right? Obviously, but other stuff I don't. So let me stop sharing this trial. Let's get over to the Law and Crime channel itself. And let me find out about this other one. All right. So let's see. What's going on? All right. Matthew Robertson Terry, 47, was arrested back on May 28th, charged with stabbing elementary school math teacher Kay Baker to death. According to authorities and a press release and court documents, the two were together at the Landing Barn Grill the night of May 27th. Oh, it's starting. Please to hold.
So let's address that first. Deputy Estea, can you tell me, I believe that
So
it
that's
was
what we'll watch.
number 14, Michael McClellan.
But this correct? Is, let me finish reading. Let me mute this gentleman here. Sorry, right, sir. Because I'm curious about what's going on with this case, and I don't want to be like in the dark. All right, so let me finish reading this. according to authorities in a press release, a witness said that Terry was upset with Baker. Quote, "I saw you dancing with that guy," the defendant allegedly said. Early on May 28th, a man claimed to hear screaming and found Baker unalived outside, according to a redacted affidavit. Investigators followed a trail of blood to Terry in overgrown bushes and trees. He was, quote, "found only wearing a t-shirt and underwear soaked in apparent blood." He had lacerations on his fingers and hands, as well as superficial cuts to his arm, authorities said. Quote, "The defendant also had 2 apparent stab wounds along each side of his neck, which appeared to be symmetrical and clean punctures," authorities said. The defendant declined to make any statements without legal representation. End quote. Based on the blood pooling where he was, authorities suggested these were self-inflicted wounds. Authorities suggested that Baker had fled out of a window within a locked bedroom, but Terry caught her. She sustained several wounds to her right shoulder, back, and, quote, "a very deep laceration," end quote, across the front of her neck, authorities said. Every capital red rum case must be evaluated on its own facts to determine if a reasonable jury made up of Hillsborough County citizens could unanimously sentence a defendant to no longer be alive, the 13th Judicial District's new state attorney, Susan S. Lopez, said. "It is the most serious penalty available under Florida law, and I approach this responsibility with humility and a sense of duty to the rule of law." Defendant Matthew Terry's actions were especially heinous, cruel, and atrocious. He was merciless in his brutal unaliving of Miss Baker, and given his history of violent behavior, we will ask a jury to sentence him to no longer live, end quote. Terry previously spent 3 years in a Michigan prison after authorities there said he bit, beat, and stabbed his then-girlfriend, according to the Tampa Bay Times. He now remains at the Hillsborough County Jail on a $1 million bond. Okay, the decision to seek the unaliving, the no longer living in this case penalty is among the first made by Lopez. Her predecessor, Andrew Warren, refused to prosecute anyone for violating Florida's blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to address this because this is political and I'm not getting into politics. Okay, Warren's office had previously declined to seek the death penalty against Terry, according to the Times. In a Monday report, he told the outlet that he did not seek the DP based on the wishes of Baker's family. Quote, "We're not really people who are hugely in favor of the DP," Baker's stepmother, Christine Empey, told the outlet. "In this case, we were all in agreement that if that's what legal experts wanted to do, we were not opposed to it," end quote. We just don't want him to get out," and Empey said of Terry. So that's what's going on. Hey, Callie, how's it going? Good to see ya. So we're gonna see what's going on. Oh, Shmita's here. When did Shmita come? I don't see no Shmita. Where's Shmita? Huh. Shmita, you got me blocked? How come I can't see you? All right, let me. Hold on, Nestor, and I'll open the door for you. Just give me 1 second. Oh, I see her now. Thank you, Shmita. I see you. When you make a highlighted comment with the length of time that you've been. Thank you for being a member. Also, Shmita for 5 months. Thank you, thank you. It doesn't show it on the StreamYards. So rude, StreamYards. You see how StreamYards be? Just instigating. Now we have a sidebar, but let me unmute just in case. Let me make sure I have closed captioning. Yeah, I do. Because there's an ant. Some courtrooms let you hear the sidebar. Okay, I'm gonna mute real quick because I'm gonna run in right quick. I'm gonna get my drink because I'm parched already just from talking for 33 minutes. Lord, not even really 33 because there's the 30-second countdown, then the intro music is 2 minutes. So what, 30 minutes, I'll say, not even 33. All right, anyway, let Nestor in and grab my drink. Please hold. Talk amongst yourselves. I give you a topic. YouTube and StreamYards instigate drama. Pro or con? We'll be right back. Okie dokie. I'm back. We'll be happy to know Nestor is inside having a drink. The other day, just while we're kicking it, he was sitting outside and laying out here, and I was calling him to come in, and he was like right next to me, bless his heart. And he was like, I thought maybe he might be just ignoring me because sometimes low key he does do that. So I walked over to him and hey, sugar beet, I touched him and he jumped, which means he didn't hear me. Bless his heart. He's going to be, let's see, he was born in, let me bust out the calculator because I can't do that math right now. I mean, I can, I'm just not gonna. It's easier to do it on a calculator.
On either table, microphones on either table, I'm going to ask that those be removed, and if there's any audio associated with this camera,
13. He'll be 13 in
that
December.
audio also be removed.
Bless his heart.
Now, if those are not hooked up at this time, we can wait and do that afterwards.
Why does this judge look familiar? Who did we watch him with? We just watched him in a trial in Florida, obviously, in Hillsborough. Who? Sound like a dadgum owl. Who? Was it Travis Scott? Is that who it was? Trevor Summers, that's it. Trevor Summers, Travis Scott. Blink 182ing. Lord Jesus. Fix it. Trevor Summers. Yeah, I was like, who? Why is he familiar? And again, here I am hooting. Hooty hoo! What are we doing here? Like, what's going on with the microphones? I missed that. Well, I appreciate you being here and listening, sugar bait. I do too. Super patient. Uber patient. Also, so when I sleep, I have to have the TV on. It just is. And usually what I do is watch YouTube at night, right? Well, I have autoplay on. And so the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 nights, I've been waking up to Oh, yeah. There you go, Amelia.
Be a
Thank
juror in
you.
our trial because he
Anyway, I've
is
been waking up
prohibited
to the
from
Brooks
considering the
trial
death penalty because of his religion.
and hearing it.
My suggestion was we bring him in and have a conversation with him, verify that, perhaps
And
ask him why he didn't tell us that before.
um
Defense agree? State agree?
hey, Jennifer, how you
Okay, Mr.
doing?
McClellan.
There's what? Yeah, I guess that's what I'm thinking of. I don't know, Amelia. Not all my synapses are firing yet. And I don't know why, because I've had plenty of freaking caffeine. But anyway, I've been waking up and the Brooks trial has been on the TV. And this morning he was questioning a witness, and it's the witness that he used her phone and I guess called his mom and was telling his mom, hey, get me an Uber. And I woke up to hearing, who is you?
Seat wherever you're comfortable. I apologize for bringing you in like this, but you've given some information to the bailiff this morning that we need to discuss. Is that correct? All right. So it's my understanding, and I certainly don't want to put words in your mouth.
Nah, I know you weren't, Amelia. I don't know where my brain is not. I have too many things going on in this noggin of mine that I'm thinking forward and not paying attention to right now. I don't know what's wrong. I know that's exactly what's wrong with me. I know. I know you weren't hating, babe. I never think you guys are hating when you correct me or you give me constructive criticism. I appreciate that. Honestly, you know what I'm really in the back of my brain focusing on? That timing issue. I cannot let it go. As soon as I saw it in the live yesterday or the premiere yesterday, I literally have not been able to let it go. And I'm not going to fix it because I don't want to re-upload it and all that business. It's done, right? But what I'm trying to figure out is how to make that not happen again. So it's in the back of my brain of different things that I can try to see if I can fix the timing issue. And then I'm thinking about where I need to, how I'm gonna cover, how I should do it. You know what I mean? Hey, support with Steffa. Good to see you, babe. So yeah, that's me thinking and thinking, not focusing on the now, thinking about the later. That's the story of my life. I wonder what they're going to do with this juror because, you know, this is an issue. Okay, evidently, what has happened is this juror who was selected and ended up on the jury, right, has told the bailiff this morning that they don't think that they can sentence someone to the DP because it's against their religion. And I'm curious how this happened because this would be the so when you get summoned for jury, right? When you get a jury summons, there's you're told to be at a certain courtroom at a certain day at a certain time, right? You show up. And there's a ton of people and there's like a preliminary round. And this question would have come up in the preliminary round. And so I'm curious how this specific juror made it past the preliminary round all the way to actually getting picked. Because then so after the preliminary rounds, right? Then there is where both sides actually question each potential juror, right? And they have so many people that they can just straight out the gate dismiss. Each side has, and then they end up with what I think usually it's like 14, sometimes 15, so they'll have 12 with 2 or 3 alternates, right? But that alternates have to stay through the whole trial. Um, that's what I'm saying, support with Steffa. Like, how did you make it to basically what amounts to being the playoff, right? Because you've got picked, your seat, you've been seated as a jury member, and I don't know what this is going to mean, because if there's no way that they can. Oh, they ended it. What the frack? So if hold on, let me stop sharing. This auto, it'll start just playing something random, and Lord knows, no, ain't nobody need that. Anyway, so um, let me see what happened. If there's no way they can keep him or her, this jury member, because if this person does not believe in capital punishment, there we go, Jen. Now you can, there's a different way of saying it. If they don't believe in capital punishment for whatever reason, religious, whatever it is, right? Um, then they can't be on the jury, period, in any capacity. And if they, so this person has to be dismissed. And the only thing that I can think of that would cause this trial to move forward is if there were enough alternates that they could place one of the alternates as a picked jury member. I don't know how this is going to work. I don't think I've ever seen this happen. I don't think I've ever seen this happen. Let me. Hmm. Okay, so let me tell you what the subtropical storm Nicole is trying to do. So right now, it's out in the Atlantic, and it's going to make landfall somewhere a little south of Fort Pierce, cross over the whole state, exit out of into the Gulf, right? And then reemerge still as a hurricane, um, like right around, I don't know what city that is, Northwest Florida. Not quite the panhandle, though. So my part of the Floridas is supposed to get like somewhere between 1.5 and 2 inches of rain. Bless it. Oh, hey, Tia Dash, good to see you. I don't know what we're doing right now because, to be quite honest, uh, with you, um, we were going to watch the Pike County Massacre trial, and I'm going to put it back on that and see what's going on. Hopefully, this witness is quick. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there. It looks like the witness is being questioned by prosecutors. So we're already to the cross, and then we'll get to the redirect potentially. So we should be able to see this trial. So I don't know what we can chit chat about for the next for a few minutes. I want to say thank you to Tia and to LFT, both of you girls, for sharing the premiere last night on your community uh, tab. I greatly appreciate that. I just appreciate the support. Also, while I'm thinking about it, on Friday, Tia and LFT had invited me up on the panel, and we had a great discussion about a ton of um, true crime cases. And it was a really, really great stream. I thought it was a really great live. I had a ton of fun. Positively Parker was up there. The girls from Decipher, obviously. Kate Does Crime was on panel. And then it was Parker, Tia, LFT, Kate, and me. Yeah, I think that. Oh, and Hooligan Jennifer. I think it is all. Everybody calls Jennifer Jens. So I don't, but yeah. It was a great panel. It really was. I had a lot of fun with the girls, and it was. Oh, stop! Thank you, though, Tia. Stop. Your honor, our honor. Bless it. I t- you girls are so sweet. I don't know what they're doing. Support with Stefan. Now, this is not the Wagner trial that they had to dismiss this juror. This is a Florida trial. It's Florida versus Terry. He unalived his girlfriend back in May of last year, or maybe it was this year, because Holy Hannah, they just said May, so it was, I guess, up quick. Anyway, I don't know what they're going to do, because they like to okay, so especially towards the end, towards the winter fall time, right? Like right about now. We're, coming into flu season, and people get sick, and so they like to have alternates just in case, right? Something happens. So I don't know how many alternates were picked for this trial, and I don't know what they'll do. So if not enough, I don't know if not enough, I suppose they'll just put an alternate in, and that'll be that. I don't know what they'll do. I have no idea. I've never seen this before, ever, in my whole live long life. All 45 years, we're still muted over here on the Pike County trial. I will say this. This is day 38 of the Ohio versus George Washington Wagner the fourth. It is also day 492 that the leather vest has made its appearance, although he is today wearing, honestly, it looks like a black tie or very dark navy blue, but he's wearing a pinstripe blue shirt underneath. Yeah, so that's that. I'm just going to keep an eye on it because I know we'll be back. What? No. Tell me about it, Jennifer. Do you want me to call you Jennifer, or do you want me to call you Jen? See, for me, obviously, my first name is Jennifer, right? But the only people who ever call me Jennifer are my parents, right? Well, not my mom anymore, obviously. But the only time they ever called me Jennifer was when I was in trouble. So whenever anybody calls me that, it's just weird. Like, I always think initially I'm in trouble, even though anybody calling me that really can't I really can't be in trouble. I just always, it's just one of those things. But no, let's see what's going on with Amelia. I don't go by Jenny either. Can't do it. Oh, wow, Amelia. Oh, my goodness. Well, I'm keeping my fingers crossed too for you guys. Absolutely. Absolutely. I saw that Netflix had started the new season of Unsolved Mysteries. So, and I intended to watch that, but let me tell you what had happened. So, um, Netflix has updated their app and they've gotten fancy. So, remember when you used to log into Netflix and it would give you suggestions? Okay, it still does that, right? But um it now it's doing it. There's new suggestions every day. Okay, so when I logged in, when I had a minute to just like chillax, right? I utter um so anyway, that cabinet of curiosities popped up with Guillermo del Toro, and I really like him. And so I was checking it out. And this is what I'll say about that. So I've made it through the first 2 episodes. They're really well done. Um, but they remind me of, if I had to like, Guillermo does his own thing and he's his, what I'm saying, in his own right. However, if I had to sort of describe it to somebody who's never watched Guillermo del Toro and then what this series is like, I would say um it's sort of like Stephen King's Nightmares and Dreamscapes. They're short stories and they're not connected. And so they're done in that style, right? But with Guillermo's twist, which he does a really good job. So I watched 2 of those episodes, and if you're a fan of that type of genre and that way of storytelling, absolutely go and check it out. Um well, there was something else that I watched recently that I was going to recommend to you guys, but now for the life of me, I can't remember. Let me let me put this on present so that I can keep an eye backstage on what's going on over there in Pike County. And let me come over here and hide this chat right quick and make it full screen. There we go. And I'll just keep an eye on it. I did too, Amelia. I thought that book was amazing, but I really, really, um, oh, I bet, Amelia. I bet. That's got to be hard. Um, and you're welcome, of course. Um, I've always been a fan of Stephen King. I just love his books. Um, and I will say that I, for the most part, am a fan of his movies, or the movies that are made based on his books. I think I think the books are better. In my opinion, frankly, um, that's usually the case. The book is better than the movie because while you're reading the book, obviously it's your imagination that's conjuring up images based on the words, right? So maybe I just have a very active, vivid imagination, but somehow there are certain scenes that fall a little flat for me, but it is what it is. Oh wow, I'll definitely check it out, Jen. Absolutely. I'm always fascinated when there are cases and things get reversed. They think it's one way, and then new information comes out, and things get, because there's, if you think about it, that's happened like a ton of times with the like Black Widow unalivings, where uh they'll the first couple of husbands sort of don't raise any red flags or set off any alarm bells within the law enforcement community. Obviously, 9 times out of 10, the family is like, but by the third one, yes, they're usually like, wait a minute, we might need to do something. And that's usually when the exhumations happen and everything like that. And I think what draws me a lot of times to different cases, that not just covering the case, but really like deep diving and wanting to know all the things about specific cases, is whenever I feel that there's been an injustice. Because I do support our justice system, but when I feel that our justice system has gotten it wrong, then I really like pipe up. And oh, speaking of injustices, so tonight, Amber Alerts and I were going to do a panel together about the West Memphis Three, but we're going to postpone it until Wednesday night. She had a scheduling conflict. So, and I always say, family first. So it's no big deal. I'm just excited to talk West Memphis Three. It's been a minute and I miss it. So that'll be Wednesday night. I have those books. I just haven't had an opportunity to read it. So I read them, but I will be getting to that as well. Um, See, for me, I'll say this. So The Shining for me, there are parts in The Shining that fell flat for me. And honestly, it's the bathtub woman. I thought the image of her that I had in my brain was so much different than the what ended up happening, like what they showed on screen. You know what I'm saying? So, oh wow, support with Steffa. Yeah, we're going to be talking about all the things. I will say this. Terry Hobbs gave an interview recently, within the last couple of weeks. And I watched, because listen, I always want to hear a different perspective on the case. While I'm confident in the research that I've done and the conclusions that I've made, right? Um, there's always an opportunity to learn something from a different perspective, especially pertaining to the evidence, because like I've said like 11 billion trillion times, the evidence is the evidence. There's no secret vault of evidence. It's all there, right? We all have access to it. We can all read it, see it, yada yada yada, hear it, etc. But it's people's take on the evidence, and the weight that they give certain evidence versus other evidence. It's always interesting to me. And there have been many times when I've listened to somebody else's perspective. I've always learned something. And I've also not always changed my mind, but there have been times when I've changed my mind based on somebody else's perspective, where they, explain why they see the evidence this way, and it makes sense. And I can say, yeah, that's yeah, I can see that. Absolutely. And that is what I went into the interview to listen, because I think that it's important. If Terry wants to talk, people should be respectful and listen, okay? And I'm not gonna I'm not the reason that I didn't participate in the chat is because I knew sorry, I accidentally muted myself. But I knew that if I was in the chat that I would be engaged in the chat and not listening to the interview, which is what I was there to watch, right? So I was listening to the interview. And obviously, of course, I have some thoughts about that. And I don't know if I want to really talk about that specific interview because I I don't want the person that gave the interview to feel that the commentary is against them as a person or their interview because it's not. I thought the channel that um, interviewed Terry did a good job. I did. I thought that it was anti side eye. I like anti side eye. I don't, she always been cool to me. I thought she did a great job on the interview. I do. I just it's but I should probably reach back out to her and talk to her about it. But anyway, because I don't want her to think that I'm being critical of her interview because I'm not. It's more I'm critical of the answers that Mr. Hobbs gave. I just I have some follow-up questions, frankly. I do. So I don't know. I'll reach out to her and see because I don't want her to I feel like that's better. That's a better way to do it rather than um take the chance that that's the way it could be perceived. I think I should get ahead of it and just approach her because she's reasonable and she's cool. So I think that's what I'll do is reach out to her and let her know, hey, listen, yada yada yada. Thank you, Amelia. I try to be rational and compassionate and kind most of the time. I try. What I really try to mostly do is treat other people how I would like to be treated. And if it were me, what I would like would be for the creator to reach out to me and say, "Hey, look, this is the situation," and and have an open dialogue, and then you know, I think that if more people would do that, it would squash some of uh, the drama. 'Cause I'm not about. I don't want to, and I don't want there to be drama. I don't. That case, just generally speaking, the West Memphis Street case is freaking surrounded in drama as it is. Just the case itself, right? Who needs? I don't need. I don't want extra. Ah, Shmita, that's not true. You try a lot. Stop. There's just some people who are just on the list because of their own things that they've done, their past behaviors, and the way they've treated you that no longer get the courtesy. That's all. That's the difference. Because I know that Shmita has always been good to me. From the minute I met her, we clicked. So I don't see negative traits in Shmita. I see her as really a good person who sometimes is misunderstood. And quite frankly, some of the comments that she makes are hilarious and I feel like um not they're underappreciated for the hilariousness that they are. Is that even a word? For the hilarity they bring? There you go. That's a word. I know for sure hilarity is a word. So yeah. Yeah. Oh, come on. Let me see what's happening over here. So the prosecution is still cross-examining. Mr. Nash he went for his drink, but whatever the testimony is right here, I'm gonna add it to the stream, and let me try to see what's going on based on what Mr. Nash is doing. So right before this, he grabbed his cup and he sat back in his chair holding the cup, and then there was a slight shake of his head while he was listening to the testimony given, and then when I put it on the screen, that's when he decided to take a drink. So he's thinking. I can't remember what the other attorney's name is off the top of my head right now, but he's been taking copious notes this entire time. I'm assuming for his redirect, but I'm not sure. Let's see what George is trying to do. It looks like George is trying to make a paper airplane or something. I'm not exactly sure. He's always got a pad of paper in front of him, and to be quite honest with you, I would really like to be able to see what he's doing, because I still maintain that he's playing tic-tac-toe, which maybe he's making origami or making a crepe. I don't know what he is doing, because he's pressing down. You know how when you have a legal pad, how it flips over, you roll the paper behind it without tearing it, and it looks like that's what he's done. I don't know what he's doing. Oh, asking for a pen, apparently. Let's see I guess Mr. Nash was irritated with the fidgeting and decided to give him a pen to, kind of like when you're out to dinner with your toddler and they're getting fidgety, and so you give them the crayons that the hostess gave you when she sat you, because see, this is what I learned from my kiddos. If I gave them the crayons straight away, then they would get fidgety before like the meal arrived. So I would hold off giving them the crayon until they got fidgety and then give them the crayon, and usually that kept them entertained, while we waited for the meal to arrive. My kids, but I have to say, for the most part, my kiddos were really good out. Like I could take them places. Oh, thank you, Tia. Okay, here's Mr. Nash. Here he goes. He's like, yup. Okay, George, I see what you're saying there, because this guy's a friend of the Wagners, apparently. So he's testifying for the defense. I'll say this. After Mr. Nash loaned George the pen, George gave the pen back, and then Mr. Nash got up and he took the pen with him. So I don't know. I don't know where that pen was before that George just used, but there you go. And I think it's interesting. I was curious how this was going to play out with George, because I wanted to know like how his demeanor would be with the witnesses who were testifying for him, right? And as you can see, nothing about his demeanor has changed at all. Like if we didn't know, right? We just tuned in just this moment. We would have no idea, based on George Washington Wagner IV's demeanor currently, that this is his witness. And I just think that that's somewhat indicative of potentially who George is. Oh, okay, Amelia. We can, but not yet. And here's why. Let me, first of all, give me just un momentito. is I want to get over to Rottweiler Investigations, Momo's channel, because I want to share this link. So Mo got the whole interviews from Chandler Halderson, and also known as Chandler, and anyway, I can't talk and click and copy and paste at the same time. It's all too much. All right. So she got all of those and put them on her channel. And I want you guys to go over and check them out when you get a minute. She also got Catherine Cat, which was Chazel's girlfriend at the time of the crime, interrogation tapes, and there we go. So I want you guys to have an opportunity. There's her channel. I want you guys to have an opportunity to watch those. And to be honest, I haven't watched them all yet. And so I want us all to have an opportunity to go and watch them. And then, yes, I 111 billion trillion % will be watching. All right.
Before sitting down, would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer unto God? Yes, sir. Proceed. And the defense make that.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good.
Can you just please tell us your full name and spell your name for our court reporter?
It's Kelly Cinereski, Kelly Cinereski.
Yes,
Okay,
we're
and
going to
Mr.
talk about them.
Cinereski,
Promise. Cross my
What
heart.
is your profession or what do you do for a living?
I'm a pastor
And where are you a pastor?
in Seward, Alaska.
And how long have you been in Seward, Alaska?
Oh, I know
This
who
time
this
around,
is.
17 years.
All right. And are you originally from Ohio?
Yes, sir.
Can you explain that to us?
I grew up in Minford and went to Alaska right out of college in 1986. Stayed there till 2000, came back in 2000, pastored in Minford, Ohio from 2000 to 2006, then went back to Alaska. Been there ever since.
All right. And so you graduated from high school in Minford?
Yes, sir.
And what year was that?
1985.
And what did you do right after that?
Went to play football.
Where did you play football?
Fairmont, West Virginia.
All right. So you went to college?
Yes, sir.
Promise I
Fairmont
won't.
University?
I'll
Fairmont
wait
State
for you.
University.
Fairmont State. And is that where you decided to become a minister?
No, sir. I was called to preach at 13 years of age
Is that right?
and kind of ran from it a little bit. And then when I went back to visit my parents who were missionaries in Alaska, starting churches, God got a hold of my heart and I surrendered to go back into preaching.
Okay. So when did you start preaching?
Well, 13, I preached my first message,
Okay.
but as far as pastoring, it wasn't, I was ordained, I believe it was 92.
I'm sorry?
In 1992, I was ordained.
All right. And when did you start a church in Ohio?
I didn't start a church. I took over a church called Rivers of Joy Baptist Church. Pastor Quentin Keene pastored that church prior to me, and then I pastored it for 6 years. But that church is no longer in existence. It closed last year.
All right. And where was that church?
Minford, Ohio.
All right. Is that the only church you pastored in Ohio?
Yes, sir.
All right. And can you just describe what what your, what that was like and what the daily duties were?
The church in Ohio.
Yes.
It was completely different than what I experienced my first 10 years of pastoring. It was a very needy church, a lot of elderly people. I did over 200 funerals in my 6 years there.
Jeez.
A lot of hospital visitation, a lot of people, Brother King reached a lot of people who were, down and out. We had a lot of people who were addicted to drugs. And then God did a work in their heart. They got saved, got out of that lifestyle. And our goal was to help counsel people to truth and help them change their lives and get them on to a better path.
Right. And while you were at that church in Minford, right, did you meet the Wagner family?
Yes, sir.
Can you explain that?
Yes, sir. I met the Wagner family. Actually, our church there worked in another little mission over in what's called Lucasville Flats. And there was Frederica Wagner had a building there. And we met the Wagners the first time, I believe, there at the Lucasville church. And then they started attending our church in Minford.
And when I say the Wagner family, who did you meet?
Frederica, Billy, Angela, George, and Jake.
And do you recall about what year that was?
Let me think. Probably, let's see, 2000, probably 2002, 2003.
All right. And do you recall whether George, you know George over here, right?
I do.
In fact, you were the pastor at his wedding, isn't that right?
Yes, sir, I was. 2012.
And so when you first met him, do you have any idea how old he was? Was he a child? Was he an adult?
He was still a young teen, or beginning 12 or 13.
Okay. And so you met him, his brother Jake,
Yes, sir.
his father Billy,
Yes, sir.
his mother Angela.
Right.
And were they active, as a family, were they active in your church?
Very active.
Can you describe that?
Well, they would not only be in our church, but they was also at the Lucasville mission. They would help not only do the meals, and we would give a meal and try to help people out and work with people, but they would serve by gifts. I mean, they worked hard to try to help those people. And then they would work in our church. They were involved in vacation Bible schools, to camps, I mean, you name it. Anything a church does, they were there. Revivals. We did a spiritual warfare conference. They were there every night. Plus, they went through our 16-week discipleship program. I was at their house.
Just to give you guys an update on the trial out of Florida, Florida versus Terry, that is back on. The prosecution is giving their opening statement. So apparently they decided they were just going to use an alternate, or I don't know what they decided. But anyway, the trial is continuing.
The Bible study, both
Bruh.
would help serve at the mission. They would do work and help do those kind of things, help set up. But a lot of times they were part of the programs that we were doing for the kids.
And did you develop a relationship with Billy?
Yes, sir.
And are you and Billy about the same age, or what's the age difference, would you say?
I think he's younger than me.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I don't think I ever discussed that with him.
Okay. Did you have similar interests?
I have an interest in trying to help people, and anybody that'll let me
You're
minister
welcome.
to them and work in their life, that's what I want to do.
All right. And did you minister to Billy?
Yes, sir.
And did he appear to be in need of your service?
He had a desire to turn his life around. He had told me about some things in his past, and he had a desire to live a better life in his life that he had lived.
All right. Do you remember where they lived when you visited their home?
Yes, sir. I couldn't take you there today. I could get you close, but I remember I drove there at least once a week for quite a while.
All right. If I told you they lived off Bethel Hill Road, up a long driveway, does
Yes, sir.
that ring a bell?
It was country. Yeah.
It was country. Okay.
Yeah.
And how often would you visit that home, and like what years would you say?
I want to, I could be off on dates, but I often, at least, like I said, at least for sure there for a while, it was every week. And then after that, at least once a month, I had a son that was friends with the Wagner boys. And that was one of the few homes that I
Hey,
let him
Broken
go
Justice.
to.
Good to see ya.
And he'd go out there. It was a great place for kids.
All right, that's your son. What's your son's name?
Caleb.
All right, and Caleb was about the same age as George and Jake? Is
I
that-
think he's in between them. Yes.
Okay, and so, as I understand what you're saying, you trusted Caleb to go out there without you being there?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Sure.
and did he in fact do that?
Yes, sir, he did.
All right, do you know if he spent the night at all, or?
You know, one of the only places he ever stayed the night growing up in his life, I didn't allow that, but that he did. Yes.
All right, and did you ever do any work out at the Wagner residence?
Yes, sir. I'm a journeyman electrician and I helped wire the house they were working on.
All right. And how would you describe the Wagner family based on your observations and your experience?
I guess I'd ask you to explain the question, try to
Sure.
describe them.
Sure. You spent time with George,
Mhm.
Jake,
Angela and Billy.
Angela, and Billy, correct?
Mainly Billy, more than all of them.
All right, but you were out at their home.
Yes, sir.
All right, you saw them at church doing various things.
Yes, sir.
So what was your impression of this family?
They were a close family. They worked together. They were a family that was trying to find the relationship with the Lord and turn their life. I mean, I saw them get rid of things in their home, movies, stuff that would affect children or affect their home. I saw them make really good decisions. I mean, showing up Sunday nights, Wednesday nights. It was a time period, and I believe that they were making a turnaround, and doing really well.
And this was between 2000 and 2006.
Yes, sir.
That's when you were in Ohio.
When I was in Ohio, in that time period, what year they came, I'm not exactly sure.
Okay, fair enough. Did you notice any differences between George and Jake?
Other than, yes, in a sense, Jake and George was, he's the older brother, and played that part as the older brother. Jake was more the baby of the family and played that part, I guess.
All right. Do you know whether they were homeschooled or public school? Do you know anything about that?
Hey, LFG, good to see you, babe.
And did you notice any differences, like in their abilities, between Jake and George in your observation?
Yes.
Can you explain that?
I've been a football coach. I've worked with the public school system quite a bit in Alaska. Jake would have been a young man that had an IEP, individual education plan. And he would have been considered, I'm not a psychologist, nor do I have any of those type of licenses,
Sure.
but he,
I would object to this testimony unless he's an educator or has some
I was wondering when that objection was going to come, and here it is.
qualified to render an opinion as to.
Well, I'm not sure what question was asked, but it does sound like we're,
Well, I'll rephrase it.
all right. So I'll sustain it.
Did you
Okay.
notice differences between Jake and George?
yes.
All right. And how would you describe those differences based on your observations?
In the short, George was smart and Jake struggled.
Was George more independent than Jake?
Yes.
Objection. No, I'm
Did there
just
ever
kidding.
come a
There's not
time
really an
when
legal
you,
grounds for
uh,
objection, but come
worked
on.
With Frederica over at the Flying W or with her church?
I worked with the church, the mission in the, over in Lucasville, and then I did a wedding for George and Tabitha at her church.
All right. Tell us about her church, what you know.
What does that
Really,
have
I
to do
flew
with
in
anything?
And flew out. I really, what I know is it had poles in it, and I did the wedding. I really
Okay.
don't know much about that church.
Okay, fair enough. You were asked to perform the wedding for George and Tabby, is that right?
Yes.
All right. Had you met Tabby before this?
I'd like to say I did, but I don't know.
You don't remember?
No, sir.
Okay. But you were happy to fly in from Alaska and perform the wedding?
They were family friends. I had met, I guess I'd had the discussion with George about both Hannah and Tabby being there on the farm with the boys. And so I guess I had met them. I'm just not sure of the timing of all that.
Sure.
Sure, we get you. I don't understand what this is supposed to do, but
Did you
whatever.
become aware, like between 2000 and 2006, whether Tabby was living with the Wagner?
I believe that she was.
All right, did you discuss this with Billy?
Yes, I did.
All right, and what was your discussion in general?
Basically, Billy, this isn't good. Things happen between boys and girls.
Okay,
That kind of thing.
and so you were concerned?
Yes, sir.
All right. Were you aware of any criminal activity up on Bethel Hill that Billy and Angela were involved with?
No, sir. Prior to him coming to church, there was things that he had told me he'd got in trouble for. And I think
Okay.
that's court record already. So,
Sure, but between the years 2000, 2006, that's kind of when you were in Ohio and.
right,
and-
right.
and-
I knew nothing that he had done or was involved in. I would not have let my son go there, nor would I have been a part of that.
Sure. And why did you leave Ohio to go to Alaska?
God told me to. I didn't want to leave, but the church in Seward had went through a split basically, and God said go back, and so I left the church in Ohio and went back to Alaska.
And you had some connection to Alaska previously?
I had actually pastored the church I'm at now before coming to Ohio.
Okay, so you first pastored a church in Alaska,
The same church I pastor now. Yes.
same one now, but you had left to come to
Left
Ohio.
for 6 years, and I've been back at that church.
And then you
for
went
6.
back.
How did you not get this? This is your
Um,
witness. He already explained
Did the
this. I
Wagners
got it.
ever visit Alaska as far as you know?
Yes, sir, they did.
Tell us about that.
When I told them I was going back to Alaska, they said that they wanted to go with me.
Oh,
And
okay.
basically, they had come
That's
to
why they
there
left. 'Cause you left.
2006. I believe they came around
Sorry,
2008.
this is not
on
professional. I
vacation
can't be
and spent a couple
professional
weeks
at
in
this point
Seward
with this
and,
joke. I can't.
traveling
I'm
around
sorry.
Alaska a little bit.
I'm gonna try.
And you
I'll
met
try
with them
better.
at that time.
Oh, yes. Yes, sir.
All right. And they expressed a desire to live there or not? Or?
They did. Yes, sir.
But they returned to Ohio.
They did.
And were you aware that they came up to Alaska again after that?
Yes.
All right, tell us about that.
They came up on like a survey trip moving to Alaska, but at that time, they never came and saw me.
Okay, and do you know about when this was approximately?
I don't. I mean, it had to be. I'm not sure. To be honest with
Okay,
you.
let me ask you this. You became aware at some point about the rodent murders here in Pike County.
Yes, sir, I did.
And how did you learn about that?
One of the men in my church from down here called me and told me about it.
All right. And was it after you learned about that the Wagners came up to Alaska?
Yes, sir.
All right. And that's what you just described a few moments ago?
Yes, sir.
All right. Did you met with them at that point in time?
No, sir, I did not.
You did not?
I did
He
not.
just said that. Are you even
Um,
listening to the
And
answers your own
church
witness
is
is
in
giving?
Seward, is that right?
Yes, sir.
I'm not familiar with the geography of Alaska.
Apparently, I've
It's
tried and failed
93
at being
120
professional.
miles
My
south
bad.
of Anchorage. It's a beautiful town.
Sure.
The coastal town.
All right. Are you familiar with Kenai?
Yes, sir. It's where my son pastors.
All right. And how far is Kenai from Seward, if you know?
It's 93 miles.
All right. And so do you know where the Wagners, do you know if the Wagners intended to see you?
Pardon me?
Do you know if the Wagners intended to visit you when you were up there?
They came down, brought the children down to the Alaska Sea Life Center, which is a big aquarium. They had
Mhm.
intended to do dinner at my house. We had
Okay,
that's the first
Amelia.
time I texted
Because
with
I
all three
can't.
texts.
This is just
And I believe
pure
it was with
poppycock.
Jake. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back, but they text and canceled. They said that the kids were tired and they took them home. And so they did not come over for dinner.
All right. At some point in time, you learned that Jake had entered a guilty plea. particular case, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And how did you find out about that?
On the news like
I don't
everybody
remember
else?
whether it was one of the, I think again, that same fellow called and told me that.
All right, and what was your reaction to that?
Shock.
And why
Oh,
is that?
were you?
Just unbelievable. It's a horrible crime. It's awful.
And
I think that's an
did you find out later
understatement.
that Angela had entered a guilty plea?
Yes, sir.
And what was your reaction to that?
There again, just, I just couldn't believe it. I mean, it just awful. It didn't make sense.
It didn't make sense based on how you knew them?
Right. Or even the why or the whole thing. It just didn't make sense.
I could have just a few moments, Judge. Thank you very much, sir. Judge, I have
All right. State may cross-examine.
Thank you, Runner.
You're welcome.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So you traveled all the way from Alaska to be with us here today.
Yes, ma'am.
Will you get to see any friends while you're here?
I did.
Oh, good. Okay. So if I'm understanding this correctly, you were called to go minister, and I might have this timeline wrong. You initially went to play football in 1985. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then a year later, you went to Alaska?
My dad my dad's a missionary in Alaska.
Mhm.
He was a missionary. He's gone now. But, so I went up there to work in the summers. And, so basically that was the first time, came back and played football again the next year, met my wife there. It's a long story, but, what was the question again?
Did you leave your college?
I did. I actually worked with youth in West Virginia at a church there before I went to Alaska. But my dad had a stroke and we didn't have the money. So we were going to go spend a year in Alaska, then come back to West Virginia. But I quit football when I got married. I didn't want my wife around that lifestyle. So.
So in essence, the bulk of your time that you knew the Wagners well was between 2000 and 2006,
Yes,
correct?
ma'am. 100%.
Okay. And you indicated that all four of them were very active in the church, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I mean, as far as you had kids participating versus, that kind of thing.
Right. Kids more just attending, but also serving,
Sure.
you said.
And in the Lucasville, they would serve food and stuff like that.
Okay. But Angela and Billy, did both of them go through this program? What is that program
Yes,
called?
actually, they went through that. It's just basically it deals with 16 basics of the Bible or 16.
Oh, thank you,
doctrines.
Broken
We start with
Justice.
salvation and eternal security. We just go through those.
Don't
And then
feel
in
that way.
in those 16 weeks, YOSI,
What happened?
16 weeks, you can go to 2 years. You deal with everything from marriage to finances to life, those kind of things.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And I assume it's because of that relationship that you had built with them in the church setting that you felt comfortable and confident letting your son be in their midst up on Bethel Hill Road.
I still be in the chats, Broken
And I believe you
Justice.
indicated you were closest to Billy.
I spent more time
I'm
with
around.
Okay. And you indicated there were some criminal behaviors that you were aware of prior to him coming to your church?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And do you remember what those were?
I don't know the details. I really didn't. The past is the past. I'm trying to help him live a better future.
Huh?
But I believe he spent some time for burglary or something along that line. And
He
don't know
said
the story.
he
I mean, I
didn't
can't-
want his
I
wife
don't- I'd have to
around
go
that
back and look. I'm sure
lifestyle
it's public
of
record,
football.
Okay. So if they were committing any crimes during that time period between 2000 and 2006, you were unaware of any of that?
Very unaware.
Okay. So you weren't aware of, were you aware of any of their homes burning down at any time?
I was, but I think I don't know what year that happened, but it seemed to me like it happened after I moved back to Alaska.
After you'd moved back? Okay.
I was aware of it. I wired the place, and I think they said it was electrical wiring, so
Oh my.
Have you done electrical wiring before?
I'm a journeyman electrician. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Interesting, isn't that?
And you
Wow.
indicated that George was kind of the protective older brother.
Yes, ma'am.
That might,
And
you
again,
might,
by my
wanna take
calculations,
that
you would
back.
have been around age 11 when you first met them. Does that sound about right?
I think 11, 13, somewhere. Those ages.
Okay. And then obviously Jake's a little bit younger than that.
I think he's 2 years younger.
Okay. And you indicated that you had expressed some concerns about Hannah and Tabby being out there with the boys, living with them.
Mhm.
Okay. And what were your concerns specifically?
Thank
You
you.
rub two sticks together, you get fire. It just.
Thank you very much,
wasn't-
Broken
was
Justice.
so-
Glad to have you back.
The reality, Billy's comment was that, you can raise them up and, his statement to me was, I've got some girls that I'll raise up to be wives for my boys. That kind of thing.
Oh
I
my.
said, that's not smart. So it doesn't work. Doesn't work that way.
Oh, it doesn't?
So were
Okay.
you ever aware as to whether or not they had been intimate with each other prior to being married?
I was not told that when I went down to do George and Tabby's wedding. I suspected those things, but I was not aware of anything.
Okay. And you indicated, had you been aware of any criminal activity that was ongoing during the time that you were here in Ohio, that you would not have allowed your son to go around that?
100%.
So they snowed you too? Is that what you're saying, sir?
And are you indicating that when they came to Alaska, they did not come to see you?
The first time they came on vacation, yes. When they moved to Alaska, I never saw them the whole time. Let me tell you, I was preaching at my son's church in Kenai, and I saw Jake for sure. I believe Angela. I did see Sophia and Bovine.
Okay. And when you say they came on vacation, are you talking how many years ago?
We're talking, 2008, so
Okay.
somewhere in there, 2008, 2009, somewhere in there.
Okay. And you indicated you think you saw Angela and Jake and Sophia and Bovine.
I know I saw Jake,
Okay,
and I know I saw Sophia and Bovine. And I
Okay.
believe Angela was there. I was preaching, and there was a bunch of people there, so I was talking with a lot of people.
okay. So you did not have a conversation with either of them, you just,
Other than how you doing, nothing in depth or even about the case.
Right. Nothing too deep. Gotcha.
and did you ever see
They
Billy
did,
or
Sugar
George
Beet.
while you
Yes,
were
they
there?
did.
No,
For
not that I
several
remember. I mean, I know I
fires.
didn't see Billy for sure. I'm not sure if George was there. I didn't speak to him, remember.
Okay. And you indicated you had shock when you heard of this, their involvement, the Wagner involvement with this crime, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Unbelievable because you knew them or thought you knew them
Unbelievable because 8 people lost their lives.
over basically nothing.
It didn't make sense. Doesn't make sense.
Okay. I have no other questions, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
Thank you. Sir, Did you notice anything unusual about the Wagner family dynamics between 2000 and 2006 when you were here in Ohio?
You mean like abnormal from a
Yeah.
normal? No, no, good, seemed like a good, like, again, I let my son go there. It was like,
Thank you.
my job is to protect him, so.
Thank you very much. No other questions.
Any further cross?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you. You may step down.
Thank you, sir.
Defendant may call this next witness.
I don't under. All right, let me just say this.
It is just slightly after 10:30. We will be in recess, ladies and gentlemen, until 10 till 11. That's just a little bit more than 15
All right,
minutes.
while
you're on break.
excuse me, Your Honor, I don't want to interrupt and talk over you, so I'll just mute you. I don't understand how that helped George Washington Wagner IV. In fact, quite honestly, the fact that the preacher said that, and you know what? Let's take the preacher out of it. Let's just refer to him as the witness, okay? Because to me, his what he does professionally has no bearing on his credibility, in my opinion. Okay, so I'm not even gonna. We're just gonna refer to him as the witness. So, for me, when he said that George was a protective older brother, that might have actually hurt George, because the premise of all of this is that they functioned as a single unit and they were all in on it together. They were all in it. They were all in, meaning they all took part in the planning and the carrying out. They all played different roles. Obviously, Angela was not in the homes when these crimes took place, but she purchased shoes. She made sure that they left their cell phones home, that she sent some texts on those cell phones to make it appear as if they were home, essentially alibying them. I mean, that's okay. So anyway, for him to say that George was a protective older brother actually makes it seem even more credible, as if, yeah, George would totes be in on this. You know what I mean? And then you have the wiretaps, which are so damning, especially to George, mainly because his defense, since this trial started, was, hey, it's not my fault that I was born a Wagner. I have been distancing myself from my family. I'm not like these other Wagners. Okay. I might have their last name, but we're not the same kind of people. Okay. Furthermore, he said he didn't know, didn't go, didn't show. He didn't help in any part of it. He did not help in any planning of it. He did not help in the carrying out of the plan, and he did not help in the destruction of any evidence as a result of the plan. Right? So this does not help George, this gentleman who just took the stand for them. It doesn't, I'm sorry. To me, they can put 11 billion people on the stand that say that George was a good guy, or that, all this proves, honestly, is that the Wagners were very capable of snowing people and keeping people from knowing they were able to fool people. That's it. That's all that his testimony proves. So I don't even know why he would have them on. I don't know why he was called. In fact, I think he might have actually hurt George. in this, to be quite honest. I don't know. What do you guys think? Just doesn't, I don't understand. I mean, I know when you don't have much, to work with, you got to work with what you got, but dadgum. Like, this is not even in the vicinity of a good witness, in my opinion. I mean, I'm just saying, not because he can't not because he wasn't good at testifying. It's what he testified. It was his testimony that was not helpful in this situation. Lordy be. I don't know what y'all think, but I want to say this. I think I'm going to just end this because Ali Erickson is supposed to go live at 11, and I really want to go over there, and I had intended to end it anyways whenever after the morning break, because that's usually what I do. Unfortunately, they got started a little bit late, which is kind of annoying and sort of messed up my plans. You know what they say about the best laid plans, whatevs. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and end this live, and hopefully you guys will join me over on Alex Erickson's channel. But I will be live tonight, and we're going to discuss all of this. Plus, I am now very curious about this trial that's going on in the Floridas. And so I kind of want to because they did go ahead and start the testimony. So or not the testimony, opening statement. So and those I think are like an excellent summation of what the trial is going to be about. So I want to hear that. So we'll play that tonight. Yeah. All right. So we've got some stuff to go over tonight. All right. So 9 Eastern, set an alarm, put it on your schedule in ink, not pencil, where it can be erased. Make firm plans, 9 Eastern. All right. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for all your support. If you haven't done so already, give your girl a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. And I will see you over at Alex's stream. And please don't hesitate to say, Jen Lou sent me. All right. Bye, you guys. See you tonight. Have a good rest of your Monday.